This week's episode of This Is Only a Test is brought to you by Joule Sous Vide by Chef Steps. You expect precision with your smart thermostat, your camera, and even your drone you may have bought for your kids. So why settle for less when you cook? Joule Sous Vide uses precise temperature control with their trademark visual doneness guides to cook food exactly the way you want it. Joule makes perfect food every time. To get yours, visit chefsteps.com/Joule, that's Joule, and use the offer code TEST, T-E-S-T, to get $15 off for limited time. Once again, that's chefsteps.com/Joule with the offer code TEST.
Hey, let's start the show.
For Thursday, December 7th, 2017, welcome to This Is Only a Test, the official podcast of Tested.com. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode. By show of hands, how many of you out there are sick right now? We got 1/3 of the podcast host population.
You sound
sick.
a little sick. Now,
No.
I know you don't ever admit to this.
I'm not sick.
A little nasally.
I would, you know what? I will admit that I was sick over Thanksgiving holiday,
All right.
and maybe a little bit last week. I'm all right now. The nasally is just part of the regular routine. I'm Norm. I'm not sick, and I'm here to podcast. Jeremy, how you feeling?
Oh, we already covered that.
You're not great.
I've got tea with honey, my friend, so
Ooh.
I'm all right.
Oh, and back for a full episode this week, Kishore Hari, newly unemployed Kishore Hari?
Free ployed.
free agent?
I am not doing free agent well. A friend of mine came downstairs or came by my house, and I came down to hand him something I borrowed, and he's like, "Wait a minute, you're wearing pants. You're doing this whole thing wrong." Like, apparently that's what you're supposed to do when you stop working. I left the science festival, for those that don't know. I left a week ago after 8 years. It was just time to go. And I loved everything about it, but it was a wonderful project, and got to do some of the most creative things in science communication ever. But I'm also really glad to be free going into the holidays, my favorite time of year. I'm going to fill Jeremy, not just with tea and honey, but with some holiday cheer. I think that's been lacking around the tested offices.
What, are you going to set up a tree?
I will. If
You
I
will?
Am I allowed to set up a tree, or does that have to
check
be
with Ryan for
a
that.
non-denominational
No, trees are fine.
holiday
No, tree.
forest?
A Christmas tree is 100% fine in the tested office. I have a Christmas tree in my house. You guys have Christmas trees set up yet?
We have a fake Christmas tree. It still counts, right?
Yeah.
Fake,
No,
fake squad right here.
Right on.
So I have a fake tree. My mom is coming out in 10 days, and she is bringing my childhood fake tree. It is 43 years young this year.
They had fake trees back then?
Yes, they did.
I'll be.
I love that tree more than anything else.
Is this the Charlie
in the
Brown
Christmas-
situation?
It's 6 feet tall. I mean, it probably started out at 6.5 feet and has shrunk over time, as you do as you get older.
That's sweet.
Yeah, it has some Charlie Brown-esque qualities to it, but if you put the love and care in the trimming of the tree...
Wait. You can't, if you trim a fake tree, it doesn't grow back.
Yes, that's the second time you've made that joke.
Is that a joke?
That's a good question.
I was in Target this week, and there's a new fad, and I don't approve of it. It is
You started off biasing the audience.
it is a projection of Christmas on your house.
Yeah.
Oh, the laser lights?
Yeah.
Well, sometimes there are two styles of projectors, and I noticed this at Target as well. Like along the row where you can buy, your incandescent bulbs, which you sometimes need if you have old ornaments that need to have lights in them that you can need to string along. I don't believe LEDs strands work with those old Hallmark ornaments with the lights inside, like my starships. So you have those really cheap, and then you have the LED ones, which I like but there is a look to them that's like it's like the changing landscape of LA, right? As they move to LED street lights.
Yeah.
You know, they're sharper, they're crisper lights, and
Well, they flicker.
Under cameras, yes, under video cameras they will flicker, and if you're perceptive enough,
If you scan the room, you can see the flicker.
it's like a DLP TV.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's
Don't go Christmas light shopping with Norm. He probably has strong feelings about it. That's what this is
everything.
about.
Yeah, and then there are this new sections, big boxes of these projectors. So I think laser projectors are what first popped up, which were like your laser light shows. And I don't know if I haven't seen too many of those. Like people do they pair those like fog machines, and you can see
Those
the
aren't
laser
even
light show?
cool at dances. Like when you perch them on the ceiling and they're supposed to be synced to the music. Like they kind of set the mood, but I never even thought they were cool then.
If the room is steamy enough, if there's enough.
No.
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 Okay.
No.
But now you have the actual projectors.
There's some cool projectors out there. Last night, my son and I were walking home, and a family had a projector that just shot snowflakes on the sidewalk in front of their house.
Yeah, and you
I
like
like
that?
that.
You like that? No,
did like
See,
that.
Norm and I were talking about this last night. The real solution here is actual projection mapping, and that's what they're not doing. If they could actually, if somebody made a box that allowed you to easily tell it the rectangle that is the front of your house or whatever you have, and maybe point out some windows, and then project a perspective correct snowfall. That where all the flakes fall at the same rate.
It doesn't even need to be a snowfall. It can be animations. I'd love to
Whatever-
see, like,
whatever
fall
it
at
is.
the same
spiders
rate.
crawling, or
Yeah.
or Santa climbing up down the side of your house.
You
Like
guys,
some fun animation stuff. These are missed opportunities.
Yeah.
You guys
Properly
are such-
projection mapped houses.
guys are such nerds, man.
It would be so cool.
I mean, it would look good.
You know, my neighbor
Would it?
has
Yeah, it would.
has a huge Christmas setup, and it's not one of those like competitions. We don't live in one of those neighborhoods where everyone does a blowout, so it's like the one big standout, and they go all out for every holiday. But and you saw this yesterday, Jim, when you dropped me off.
The projection is bleeding onto your house.
That's what I was about to say. They have a projector, and there's like a snowman on the side of their building, skewed because we don't have front lawns. So there's no place to put the projector. It has to go at an angle, and it's totally bleeding onto my house.
It's just photons.
Don't do that.
It's just photons. They don't weigh anything.
It's visual noise.
You know what? Do we need to put up like a vertical mirror to reflect back that light?
Oh,
back to their house. Get your dirty
call
light.
Castellar, get some of that pure reflective tape, and create a mask.
An actual war on Christmas.
No. I'm totally down with the decorations. I just think that you can go too far, and with some technologies, they're not quite ripe yet. But I do love my strands. I love my twinkling icicles. Those are my favorite. You know, the icicle strands.
Yeah, that's a good
flow
effect.
down.
It's a good
I'm
effect.
a huge
You
fan of
see that
those.
and you're like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
exactly.
They also make, like, those are done with LEDs. Now they also have these torch LED bulbs where you screw them into a regular light socket.
Okay.
And they glow upwards like flames.
Oh,
And you
very
put those in
nice.
the front of your house, and it's very medieval.
yeah. It's also like it's a big power hog. All this stuff.
LEDs are a lot less.
LEDs are like. Do you leave your lights on overnight?
No,
Yeah, you
because
turn them off. when you go to bed.
mine are controlled by Alexa.
Oh, very good. No, we go out and unplug them. Yeah, manually. Yeah,
It doesn't
old
sound
school
like
that.
very, very tech Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, got to take the dog out also. All right, the big pop culture news this week. Let's talk about Marvel as a whole. Marvel characters. The rumor that came up, was it like 4 weeks ago, that Disney was looking to buy back the rights to the X-Men, to Deadpool, to all the mutants, the Fantastic Four, and bring them into Marvel Studios, back into the mouse, the fold. It may actually be a real thing. There are reports from multiple outlets this week with their inside sources that Disney and Fox are coming to terms where Disney would buy the movie division of Fox. And I guess this would also include Aliens and Predator and all their other Fox IPs. But the crown jewel there is Wolverine, right? It's the X-Men, it's Fantastic Four. Marvel wants to do right by those characters. They see a lot of money making potential. How much do you think these characters are worth to Marvel? What would you pay if you were Disney and you wanted the X-Men back?
So just to be clear, you're asking how much would I pay to get back the characters I already built,
That you created.
that
Yep.
I created,
Yep.
back to myself?
Yes.
Maybe like $5 billion. I'm guessing. I don't know what. I'm just taking a wild stab. That's probably what it's worth.
$60 billion.
Well, it's not just the rights to that; it's the whole studio.
Absolutely. It's the whole studio, but really they
ridiculous.
want these characters. They want them
Is that
back.
really what this is about?
I think it's 100% what this is about. And the only way Murdoch would sell is if they bought it all. If they took it all. Well, Disney has the money to spend. How do you feel about that?
Oh, for Phase 4, it sounds awesome. I have to acknowledge, first of all, that my son the other day walked in to my office and he's like, "Dad, you're watching the Infinity War trailer again?" And just sighs because I watch it on a loop.
Were you wearing that same T-shirt, your Infinity Gauntlet shirt?
No, I was wearing a different Infinity Gauntlet T-shirt. But
I mean, you're right.
But I think like they're going to hit a wall with these characters, and so Phase 4, which is the upcoming, they could use an infusion of new characters, and frankly, the Fox characters are awesome. How much would you want to see a Spider-Man Wolverine team-up movie?
So Spider-Man's an interesting scenario, right? Where Sony did not give back the Spider-Man one. Yes,
Jeremy,
Spider-Man Wolverine's crossover.
He's a nope to all
that
this.
team up is awesome. It's a great combination. But like for the Sony case, Marvel still doesn't have the full rights to Spider-Man. They have a cross-licensing deal where they loaned out Tony Stark and for Spider-Man: Homecoming, they did produce it themselves, but Sony still makes the money. It's still Columbia Pictures
They'll get
film. This is not that. Like, what does this mean? Like we talked last time, what does this mean for R-rated superhero films? Will Disney adopt Deadpool as is or revamp it? And also, what they're buying are the characters back, the rights for the characters back potentially, but not any of the public goodwill and association that we've had with any of the films, namely Hugh Jackman, right? If they're going to buy back Wolverine, it's buying back Wolverine, probably not Hugh Jackman Wolverine. It would have to be recast. And then, I mean, yeah, I know audiences can roll with it, but everyone's going to want to say, like, why not put Hugh Jackman in the film? Oh, I guess he finished it
No,
with
they'll
Logan.
just recast him.
Yeah.
Like
Doug Ray Scott.
they'll
It's
just
his
have
time.
they'll call up Kathleen Kennedy. Kathleen Kennedy, we need to fire somebody. Can you come over to the Marvel side for a
Yeah.
second? She'll take care of it.
Well, they've already essentially rebooted X-Men with going back in time, right? Would you expect them to keep the cast?
No,
All new.
Isn't that how would you feel about that?
pretty good.
You think that's okay? You
I think it's totally fine.
The story that was set out in the 1999 X-Men, done with Logan, done with what was the last one? Not the Apocalypse.
Yeah,
Because they have another one. They have another
especially
one in the
that
works.
movie.
They have another one already in the works, and they announced James Franco will be doing an R-rated multiple man movie. Like,
No
all that
thanks.
goes away.
What?
Yeah. You don't need you don't want the explanation to multiple man.
Multiple man.
Well, let's go through. Okay, so
I'm sorry,
there's
Jeremy.
a mutant, and he was actually in the movie X3, the Brett Ratner directed X3, Jamie Madrox, and he is multiple man, and his power is that he can clone himself immediately. So he snaps his fingers, and another version of him comes out.
Yeah.
And as long as one of them is alive, all of them can die. They're just regular. There's no super strength. There's like
There's not one Prime that needs to stay alive,
any one of them becomes the Prime.
and he can control which one that is, or
It's a shared consciousness.
shared consciousness.
Yeah.
Do they actually share their thoughts?
But they all have personalities. I mean, they all have like they all do whatever.
Are they
want.
telepathic?
There is some sort of link between them.
Huh.
Yeah.
Crazy.
This is not a character I followed because it is you snickering there when he was describing it is appropriate. This character is ridiculous.
Well, it's not. It's ridiculous. It's also like a anti-hero character because the idea is that if you could have multiple versions of yourself, like you would just break the law. I mean, he's not really a hero.
Yeah.
And so that James Franco is being attached to the role for Fox to do an R-rated dark comedy version using this character
Deadpool style.
because they have the technology now. We have all these films where he's already played multiple characters in that HBO special, right?
Yeah.
The HBO series. So it's just an acting challenge. Can you play 10 versions of yourself on screen? It's the Michael Keaton movie Multiplicity.
Again,
Right.
no. Multiplicity is a bad movie.
It is.
People
Yeah.
like it.
No, they
No,
do
people
not.
look back at like
No.
Michael Keaton is in the spotlight these days, and people are thinking back, looking at Multiplicity, saying that was one of his better movies.
No, they're thinking about Mr. Mom.
I watched both recently, and I agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying, people seem to like it.
Speaking of the other big news, all right, let's go shatter some worlds right now.
All right.
May be happening, according to Deadline and maybe one other source. Quentin Tarantino
Unbelievable.
has expressed interest in directing. I'm sorry, a Star Trek film potentially. Not writing it necessarily, but he came up with an idea. He pitched an idea to J.J. Abrams, who not only is directing Episode 9, but also is producing and the keeper of Trek canon, apparently.
Wait, he's not directing Episode 9. JJ.
J.J. Yeah,
What?
he is.
He's directing Episode 9?
Wait, this was like all news.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. We're talking about Star Wars.
Yes.
He.
J.J. Abrams is directing Star Wars Episode 9.
I don't remember that.
Kathleen Kennedy came in and
Remember?
fired
Colin
people.
Trevorrow
And
left,
put JJ in charge of directing?
and J.J. is directing
I'll be
Episode
damned.
9.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
We've talked about this.
I believe you.
And Ryan Johnson's writing it, and JJ is coming in and rewriting it and doing Episode 9. Anyway, J.J. Abrams is going to assemble a writer's room potentially for the new Trek film, a new Trek film. So they already announced the next Trek film right after Star Trek Beyond. There's no concrete details, but the idea is that Chris Hemsworth is so famous and popular now that they got to bring the two Chris's together, and the next Star Trek film is going to be Kirk meeting his dad in some time travel nexus way.
Has Tarantino directed a movie that he didn't help write?
He's on TV shows,
Yeah.
but
Oh.
not films.
Because
And
I don't know what that looks like.
I don't know what it looks like either. I'm not even morbidly curious. I'm genuinely excited. I'm tantalized by the idea.
If you're one of those people that are like, Star Trek Discovery is not Star Trek because of how great it is, Star Trek with Quentin Tarantino behind it is not going to be Star Trek.
I think that's the assumption, and that's concerning. But, I mean, one of the shows he directed was ER. And it's not like everything he does is what you think of as, stereotypical Tarantino.
There's writing for Tarantino, and I would be glad for him not necessarily to write it. I don't need Tarantino-esque dialogue in a Star Trek film.
That would be weird.
What do you think was his pitch? Like, one, did you know Quentin Tarantino was a Star Trek fan? Like, would you have pegged him as a Star Trek person over a Star Wars person? And two, what was his pitch? Was it just his name that got him into the room and his involvement that is pushing this forward, or did he actually have a pitch that made eyebrows go up? And J.J. Abrams goes, well, that's an amazing idea. Let's go put some resources behind this.
Like, was it a concerted effort to make the pitch, or were they at a party together? He's like, oh, yeah, I had this idea.
I don't know how Hollywood works.
I don't either, but I'm saying, like, which of those was it? Like, does Tarantino really feel strongly about this? Interesting.
How about this? When's the last time Tarantino made anything good?
What?
Or anything important?
Hateful Eight.
What?
Hateful Eight was amazing.
I don't think everyone agrees with you on that one.
I don't think so. I think it goes back to Kill Bill, which is like,
Inglourious Bastards?
oh, I didn't like that either.
You didn't like Inglourious? Oh.
I thought that's maybe his best film.
Yeah.
Really?
Django? You didn't like Django?
I did not
I didn't
like
see
Django.
Django.
I did not care for Django.
Wow.
But, he's a divisive guy.
All right.
There you go.
Star Trek is divisive these days anyway. Maybe it's a good fit. I'm so curious what the pitch is. If the film doesn't, if they never make the film, I'm still hoping the idea for the pitch comes out, because I would like to imagine what that looked like.
Yeah.
And I implore filmmakers out there who make parody videos, don't sour Paramount's excitement and potential excitement at this by doing a terrible parody.
No, please.
Satirizing.
Do your parodies.
Satirizing what a Tarantino
No.
dialogue-filled Star Trek film would be.
Norm just asked the internet not to ruin something.
Come on.
It's like throwing something into the void.
We want those
Good luck with
parodies.
that.
We're getting a new Star Trek related film this year, early next year. There's a new film called Please Stand By that's coming out, and it came out of nowhere, but it stars Dakota Fanning and Alice Eve, who was in a Star Trek film, and also Patton Oswalt. And it's set in the real world, and it's about a Star Trek fan who travels to Los Angeles to compete in a contest, a script writing contest. And the crux of the film is that she has autism, and Star Trek is one of the ways she grounds herself, and it's her journey.
This sounds amazing. The story is supposedly that she writes is about Spock. So this sounds
Well,
pretty
hold on. Spock visiting Deep Space Nine.
I was trying to leave off the best part because it sounds incredible.
It does.
It sounds incredible to me. I think when you mentioned the name Patton Oswalt, this remind me of his. I think my favorite film of his, Big Fan, with this small film.
Oh yeah. Where he's the football fan who gets beaten up by one of his heroes.
Yeah, and you follow like a really personal journey of his, and I assume it's not going to be similar in nature, but that sort of intimate personal tale. I watched the Spock documentary that you saw a little while ago.
Yeah, the one directed
by his son. Yeah, and it had a level of intimacy with it, and I think that's been missing from the Star Trek universe for a long time. So.
What Star Trek means to people.
Yeah, exactly. And I think I'm really excited to see this take.
It's going to be a pull your heartstrings, good feel good movie. But I'm excited for it. Apparently, the film is two concurrent stories. It's her journey, and then it alternates between that and also some representation of her film, of her script on screen. So you see a little bit of that in the trailer. So I'm excited to see that as well. I did see recently, I'm really excited to see, is The Disaster Artist. And I watched The Room for the first time last night.
James Franco again, right?
Yes, James Franco again.
Why are you excited about that movie?
Disaster Artist?
Yeah, I've had a hard time getting sold on it.
Have you seen? I had never seen The Room. Joey had been raving about it. I think he was on board with The Room and the cult following of that film as a notoriously bad film since it came out in 2003. And he'd been raving about it both at the Whiskey Office and here as something that like a artifact of film that you have to watch. And finally watched last night. And yeah, it's. My fear was that it would just be bad and it wouldn't push enough into so bad it's good territory. It is 100%. Within the first scene, first 5 minutes of people talking, it goes into so bad it's good territory.
Wow. I haven't seen this movie.
How would you describe it, Jeremy?
I want to hear your review, Jeremy.
Well, I first watched it with riff tracks, so it's kind of cheating. Like you're kind of it's a joke the whole time already.
There was no earnest viewing.
Exactly, because the film does take itself earnestly.
That's
what makes it great.
That's why you could say, a lot of people say, well, isn't it easy to make a bad film? Yeah, it's easy to make a really bad film intentionally. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the worst film that was made with the best intentions in mind.
With heart.
The worst film for someone who was not intending to make the worst film, who thought they were making the best film, and yet it ended up being the worst film ever made.
It's absolutely a must-watch. Now I know some people maybe won't get it, and that's fine. But the fact that they've now made a movie that is about the making of that movie, but it's a fictional remake of it says enough. I mean, you gotta.
Here's the thing that for people who have not seen The Room, it was written, directed, and stars a guy named Tommy Wiseau, and he's a San Francisco local. It's set in San Francisco, which I didn't even know. It opens with lots of these beautiful shots of the city, and yet the most of the film takes place inside this apartment, and on a green screen rooftop.
And I didn't even know that when I saw the film until I saw the trailer. Then I realized that was green screen. Yeah,
and it's a drama. It's not for kids. There are sex scenes in it, and kind of gratuitous, overlong, overwrought. Like at some point, it looks like a softcore porn. Mm-hmm. So definitely like
you'd love it.
But I guess the story, there's a book behind it called The Disaster Artist that one of the co-stars of the film wrote, which is what the new film, James Franco film, is based on. And there's a whole backstory of why they decided to make this film and the whole interesting production behind it. Apparently, it was a film that cost $6 million to make.
The Room?
The Room. It looks like it costs $600 to make, but it cost $6 million because Tommy Wiseau bought all his equipment. Stanley Kubrick did, as opposed to rented it. And not only did he buy his equipment, here's the tech angle. he bought 35 millimeter camera to film it in film. And because this was in 2003 when digital was on the rise, he said he wanted this to be the first film to be shot in film and digital at the same time. So they built a rig to have a film camera next to an HD camera side by side and shot the whole film concurrently, and then he threw away all the digital footage.
That sounds great.
It's cool. Like, the guy has a sense of humor about it, I guess. Like, he's okay with what's happened with the film, but the fact that he set out to make a good film and then it became, like a worse film than you could imagine, and now it's like shown at midnight across the country every, like once a month in some special theater. And he goes to these. Like, he'll be an attendee and he'll be the special guest and he'll go up to the front, and he's accepted this honor, which is cool.
Have you played the video game?
There's a game?
There is a video game that was made after the movie came out that apparently follows a similar plot line. It's an unofficial video game. I'm really curious what it's like. I will do my homework and watch The Room.
You don't have to. There's plenty of good films out there. Only do it if you're going to plan on watching The Disaster Artist.
It's hard to sit down and watch a bad movie.
It is.
But think of it as a comedy.
Okay.
It's surrealist. Think of it as like a Twin Peaks, surrealist Twin Peaks drama.
James Franco is supposed to be good.
Rave reviews. He directed this. He directed The Disaster Artist.
Yeah.
The makeup's good. There's also this weird. Joey was telling me about it. Tommy Wiseau clearly pulls from Rebel Without a Cause, James Dean, as he was writing and acting in The Room. There are scenes where he says, "You're tearing me apart," and like James Dean does, and it's so funny. And if you watch watch The Room and then watch YouTube clips of James Dean, where you can see his influences are, and then James Franco has played both now. He played James Dean in a biopic, and he's played now Tommy Wiseau in a biopic. So he is that.
He's
intersection.
cornering that market.
Exactly.
Hey, have either of you just really quickly seen Lady Bird? Because it's one of the highest rated movies of all time.
According, if you trust in the Rotten Tomatoes metric, Lady Bird is now the film with 100%. So every critic has given it a positive review of some kind, but it has the most of all the films that have a perfect score. It is the one with the most reviews. So it's the toughest thing to get. So it is the most universally acclaimed, I guess, film that they've aggregated on that site. I can't wait to see it. Yeah, lots of good films out there. Couple more things in pop culture. What's this about Empire Strikes Back?
You don't know about this?
Oh, yes. No, I know. I read that. Yeah, I posted this. This is amazing. Columbia, the jacket company.
Not the Picture House.
No, not Sony Columbia. Columbia, the jacket company. This Friday morning, Thursday night, if you're in Pacific time, 9 p.m. Thursday night. I shouldn't be telling you this because we're all competing against each other for this. They're releasing. So last year they did this as well. They released a jacket collection, limited edition jackets. They were officially licensed through Lucasfilm, and they are Star Wars inspired. Last year they did them based on Rogue One. So you had a Cassian Andor style jacket. You had a Jyn Erso style jacket. And
Those are nice.
They're very expensive jackets too, like $400. This year they're going back to the OT, original trilogy, and they have their Bespin or their Hoth collection, Empire Strikes Back collection. 3 jackets.
Echo Base collection is what it's officially
That's right.
called.
One based on Luke's Echo Base jacket, one based on Han's jacket, although this one's blue, not brown.
There is a brown one though. It's
There
the
is.
special edition.
Right, that is signed by Harrison Ford.
yeah.
No one
What?
knows if they'll buy that one. And they have, I think the best one's probably the Leia one, Hoth Leia, best Echo Base Leia jacket, which looks fantastic.
They all look good.
They're limited edition, unfortunately, for jackets. I know, right? I think they're only going to release 1,980 of them. And,
Oh, how funny.
Yep. And they're $400 each.
That's not a bad price for a jacket, and it's a limited edition. You could easily flip these on eBay if you really wanted to.
Wear for a season and flip it?
If it's a money question.
I mean, they're warmer than a tauntaun,
but
right?
they're real nice jacket, and they have like cool little emblems on them. That's not too
They do.
chintzy.
So my only issue with these jackets, and I love the style, they are definitely inspired. I wouldn't call them cosplay jackets. They're real warm weather wear, cold weather wear.
Right.
But the badging on the front of the jackets is the Columbia logo and the leather patch, whereas in the film it would be like your command badge. Like Leia has her rank badge on her jacket pocket, and if you were to get this jacket, I would say it's up to you to laser cut or 3D print or scratch build a command badge to put on top of that Columbia
No,
logo.
you don't hack your jacket.
Yeah. Yes, you do.
Jacket hacking? That's
Jacket
not
hacking.
a thing.
Totally.
I think Luke actually had like a little like communicator thing. Wasn't it something electronic
Oh, I don't know.
on his badge, or maybe that's what the rank badge looks like?
I don't know. I'm tempted. This may be like a like splurge Christmas present type thing,
Yeah.
but I'm not.
We
I'm
don't
not sure I can
live
get into
somewhere
it.
cold enough for a
No,
lot of this stuff.
right?
That's
This is
the
wasted
problem.
on us. 100% wasted on San Franciscans. Yeah. If you're in the LA area right now, one, please be safe because there are crazy raging fires going on in the northern LA area, the Ventura County area. And they're this Thursday, today, as you're listening to this, is you probably know, but anyone who outside that part of the state and country, it's going to be the most dangerous. There's going to be 100 mile per hour winds. These fires are pretty devastating already, and it's supposed to be just the beginning of the rainy season, and it's just dry and arid right now.
It's completely intense, and we're recording this on Wednesday morning, so things have probably dramatically changed. I mean, this morning even the Getty Museum was under threat. I mean, do you want to see the picture of the highway across from the Getty Museum? I think we're bringing this up because a famous YouTuber, William Osman, who makes he does a lot of stuff with his laser cutter. He makes some shitty robots and stuff. He has a real fun YouTube channel. His house was in Ventura, and he made a video that he released yesterday going back to his house, and he was going to make this funny video, and it turns out to be this incredibly poignant video of him going through the rubble of his house. And he did a GoFundMe and stuff, but I thought it illustrated the kind of personal impact of what's happening in LA, especially amongst our maker friends, in the most sort of personal way possible. So support those fire reliefs. I think Frank shared a picture on Twitter that you could see the fire from his area, but everyone I know in LA is safe at this time, but heart goes out to them right now, because wow, the damage from this is going to be untold.
Yeah. And then one final last thing, or two final last things. Stranger Things season 3 just got greenlit.
Oh, good.
I think we all were expecting
Shocking.
that. Right?
I
Netflix,
know.
Yeah, picking up Stranger Things. That's
You
going
know,
back.
can we talk about this for a minute? Because you had given season 2 a kind of meh review. Let's be honest.
Let's say we're compared to season 1. I will admit that.
The first half, you weren't as engaged.
Yep.
Felt like they pulled it together at the end, I think. I want to say I loved every single episode of season 2 unconditionally.
It is on the record.
I loved it. And I maybe it's because you lowered my expectations, but I finally watched every single one.
Okay.
And it's fantastic. The kids have a better groove with each other. It seems like there's just everyone has a better sense of the world, and I feel like they brought it to life. And there wasn't certainly some tension.
So the thing I liked especially is you got more from the ensemble this year of the kids especially than you did in season 1, which is awesome. My only negative is that 11 spent too much time away from the action. She was isolated most of the season.
But then you get that badass, reuniting.
I felt that
for
was,
sure,
that was
but
like
I felt
knew
like it was
coming.
forced.
Yeah, a little forced.
Yeah. I would have liked that to happen a little bit earlier.
I really like the Mad Max character too.
I love her character.
Mad Max was great.
Yeah.
I even liked her older brother.
You liked God?
Well, no, as a character, like early on, like messing around with people at the basketball game.
My problem with the season is that it didn't bring anything dramatically new. Like the underlying sense of dread throughout the first season and confusion.
Yeah.
Wasn't there.
What's the kid's name who was missing?
Will.
I felt like he was the one who shocked me the most with season 2 because he was the thing that was missing in season 1. He didn't have a whole lot of screen time.
Yeah.
Season 2, he was on camera a lot, and I felt like he blew me away. He had a couple scenes, a couple episodes where his acting was really in the spotlight.
Yeah.
And he brought it, and I was highly impressed.
All right. Well, we'll have to wait for season 3.
I think there was no way it could have surpassed season 1 because none of the nostalgia 80s vibe was going to land in the same way it did the first time around. And it also came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
In that first round. Like, you lose all of that.
Yeah. Something that was lost and is now back, the Lego Taj Mahal. Uh-oh.
I forgot to bring mine in.
Oh, the value of your Taj Mahal plummeting.
Plummeted.
It's down. So this is really interesting. When Lego reissues a kit, and they rarely, I think if ever they do, straight up reissues, it's not like they have all the old injection molds for all the old pieces. They're basically redesigning it for the modern age. And there's a website called newelementary.com, and if you're a Lego fan, you should bookmark this site because they review Lego sets in a most meticulous way, talking about new pieces that are unveiled in every set and rehashes of old pieces, assembly, like the ways pieces are assembled, like things. They do side-by-side comparisons of of old pieces and new pieces and new attachment mechanisms. It's really looking at Lego construction from an engineering perspective.
It is not for the faint of Lego heart. I am thrilled that this set got reissued. I actually think Lego has had too much of the pop culture stuff with Star Wars and stuff. I like the architecture ones so well, and there's so much more they can delve into with that. And building the Taj Mahal, I built it like 5 or 6 years ago now, over a Christmas holiday, and I basically just started going downstairs and building it to get away from my family a little bit, and then slowly everyone joined in. And at the time, it was the largest Lego kit, and I think it was my most enjoyable Lego build ever because there's so many kind of unique elements of this, even though it was very repetitive,
kind of monochromatic.
Yeah, but it was just, I thought it was the most beautiful architecture build that they have.
Yeah,
5,000 pieces.
It's a pretty good building.
It's a big set. I mean, if you look at the math, it's $370 in the U.S. for that many pieces. It's less than 10 cents a piece. It's actually, you're making good money on that Lego, on the value. Of
Someday, when Lego with Friends comes back, we'll do the Taj Mahal.
I will go one more thing before we jump into tech, and I talked about this on Still Entitled, but I cannot stop gushing and thinking about the store that I discovered in San Francisco.
This is inside baseball, people.
I went to it.
You did? Okay, so
I follow you on Twitter.
There is this store on Clement Street in San Francisco in the Richmond district, and it's called. They have a website now too. It's called Treasure Hunters Club.
What does that mean? Is this a store that moves around?
No. It's
because it's a pop-up, but like they're only there for a month.
But they're themed. That iteration of the store is only there for a month.
Oh.
So they've leased that space from artist Frank Kozik, who is a local graphic artist, famed movie or concert poster artist, and works with designer toys Kid Robot. And every month in that same space, the same address, they will redress up and redecorate that store to sell something new, and they're going to do it for a full year. New theme.
Do they have a schedule of their themes?
They only have it going like 2 months in advance. I believe next month is adventure themed. Okay. So I'm very excited for what type of adventure items will be on stores.
You know what I really liked about it is how heavily curated it was.
Well, they're selling off a curated collection.
Well, but it was also not like almost every stupid store I've been in this holiday season is just overflowing with stuff. And this was a place that actually had a limited amount of things.
Well, it wasn't a bunch of mass-produced things.
No, plenty of those things were more mass-produced back in the day.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I mean like today.
Oh, yes. I mean, for people who don't know, so the idea is that a longtime collector of pop culture memorabilia and ephemera, and a big part of the San Francisco music scene, passed away last year. He was the owner of a Grooves music store on Market Street here in San Francisco, and his family, in celebrating his life, is now has opened this pop-up store where they are selling off his collection to other collectors. And this is their third month. They did a Halloween theme one in October. They did a old-time vintage American history last month, and this month is sci-fi themed. And so it is Star Wars posters, Star Wars books, Star Trek dolls, robot lunch boxes, vinyl records. all sorts of delightful things. Did you pick up anything, Kishore?
I did not.
All the good stuff was gone.
No. What? Why? Is it all in your house?
Yes.
What did you pick up?
I picked up several dinosaur toys from China back in the 80s. I picked up Star Trek the Motion Picture plush dolls, Kirk and Spock.
Oh, those weren't there when I was there.
Exactly. And what else did I pick up? I picked up a 1974 convention pamphlet for a Star Trek convention.
Dude.
It has the itinerary, has special guests, it has photos from the convention. Star Trek Lives, 1975. So I saw that. I'm like, I want that. And it was $10.
Get that framed.
Yeah. So I'm in the process of setting up a new home theater system and looking at all the content sources and what boxes to use. And I realized that we're still not in a day where one box can do it all. The TV has its built-in apps, but you're not going to get anything Apple related unless you have an Apple TV. And if you want certain things in HDR 4K, you need a certain box for Amazon here. The consolidation of content is not quite there yet. We're getting closer, though. And this summer, of course, at WWDC, Apple had said their spat with Amazon was finally over. We're going to see Amazon Prime Video apps on iTunes for the iOS for Apple TV. And where was it? We're December, and there was a big story on The Verge asking where is it? Why is it delayed? And then you know what? It launched today.
The next morning.
That
was weird.
Yeah, very weird. So if you have an Apple TV, you can watch Amazon Prime Video now.
Yeah, this should have been done 3 months ago.
Now, if you have a Google Echo Show, or I'm sorry, Amazon Echo Show, the Alexa device with a screen on it, and you want to watch YouTube, it's going away.
That went away.
It went away.
Last month. It's getting the Cold War between Google and Amazon has gotten serious though, because as of January 1st, Google's pulled YouTube from all Amazon devices. So on the Amazon Fire, won't have a YouTube app anymore.
That's insane.
That is getting hardcore. There is something happening behind the scenes that is going on. So something must be happening with Amazon violating the advertisements in the YouTube app.
Who is in the position of power here? Is it the people with devices, or is it the people who have the content?
Well, it depends if you're relying on someone else's services or not. So that's the problem. Amazon's relying on Google services.
So Google is in a position of power here.
Yeah.
I think so. I don't know how often people with these devices watch YouTube there. Because I watch YouTube all the time on my phone and on my computer, but I use it a whole lot less as an app on my Roku. So, I mean, Google will know that information. But to cut off YouTube from those sticks, that is a huge disadvantage to Amazon.
Does it feel like Google has a monopoly on video on the internet?
No, not at all. Well, you can't say that with iTunes.
I'm saying video. Video, like a place for people to put video. I mean,
you mean personal...
A repository of video, right? Like images, the bandwidth considerations and hosting considerations were a non-issue, right? Like where if you want to put an image, you can put an image anywhere and you can mass distribute. Video, there's a player, there's storage, there's bandwidth. And so the big innovation with YouTube was really scaling or thinking forward enough to know that it was going to be cheap/free to host these videos and distribute them. They could make more money offering free hosting. And so they did. Google bought them up. It's now YouTube as we know it. But when you think of where people think to put video, if they want to share video, there really is no other place.
Well, there's Vimeo.
But kind of.
No, it's there. It's always been the competitor. Like they had an edge when they offered HD and YouTube didn't. But they've lost that. They sort of are viewed as sort of a premium platform now.
Right. They've curated the type of content that's put up there.
But no, you're right. YouTube is where it's at.
The mind share is 100% owned by Google and YouTube. And if we project forward and think about the days where we'll all have faster internet, where storage is even cheaper, and Amazon is in that business. S3 Amazon is in the we serve the internet business, and we make hosting really cheap. Isn't it in their interest to try or to create some type of video hosting service to fight against YouTube, or is it too late?
It's tough, man.
It's too late.
I mean, they'd have to make it completely to incentivize it. They'd have to make it ad free, and that's so hard because the bandwidth is so expensive.
If they make their Fire devices attractive, and they are because they're cheap, a lot of people have them, and there's no YouTube on them. Should Amazon see this as an opportunity to say, well, okay, if people aren't getting YouTube, yes, there's billions and billions of hours of content here. We got to start somewhere.
But that's not what the Fire, brand is all about. Fire brand is all about consumption, not creation. And Amazon owns a great video service that is all about distribution of streaming video. So are they going to start to see Twitch get pushed a whole lot more on these products? That could be interesting, especially if they push not original content, but more content.
But Twitch is all about live. It's not about hosting.
And that's where the next next
but
thing
if you're turning on your Fire Stick, you're looking for something to watch, right? So could Twitch have something akin to that in the future? I don't know, maybe. I mean, it's a platform Amazon owns, right? So it's there.
That's where they have the advantage. Everyone else is trying to do live. Facebook and YouTube has not had as much traction as Amazon/Twitch.
And it seems like YouTube gaming is not caught on.
Not really taken off. That's right. Speaking of live, something that I got to use for the first time, and apparently it's all the rage right now. Jeremy actually introduced me to it. Is the HQ Trivia app. This blew my mind.
It's not in the show notes.
It's not, but I'm talking about it right now.
What is he? Is he going off note? What is
Yeah.
happening?
Yeah, it's going with this free flowing.
I can't believe we're pumping this up any further. It's already got 350,000 people playing on the weekends.
What Kishore, do you know about this?
I do.
Have you played it?
No.
You need to.
Why?
Because it's a phenomenon. It's interesting. It's a live game show.
Is this another turntable.fm? Or are there actual legs to this?
Turntable FM. Remind me what that was.
Remember, that was a way for people to be their own DJs and for people to jump in the virtual dance floors and the avatars, and we all listen to the same song at the same time. Remember how that was a fad in 2011?
I never did that.
Yeah. Turntable.fm.
Okay,
sell me the old days.
Sell me on
I'm
HQ
not
Trivia.
interested. I don't want to tell anybody, but it is it is an interesting thing. It's a game show app that you download on your phone, and it is live streamed a la Twitch to your screen every day at 6:00 in the evening Pacific time.
Wait, it's via Twitch?
No. I'm saying it's like
like
Twitch.
Twitch,
It's
okay.
like we were just talking about that.
Got it.
Bringing it back.
Yes.
So everyone watches the same thing, and then there's a live host, and they pitch you 12 questions. They start from easy, and they get to hard. If you get all 12 questions, there's $1,000 up for grabs. Everyone who gets all 12 questions splits the pot.
And on weekends,
If you get up to $20, you get PayPal the money.
And have you gotten all 12 questions?
No, I've never succeeded. Now you can get these things called extra live. So if you use people's code when you sign up, you get an extra life, which allows you to get a bad question wrong. Our friend Gary is not afraid to post his code online, so he's gotten a lot of extra lives. Coincidentally, he's won a lot of games.
he's won if he's been in the pot.
How much has he won?
That's a good question. But on Sunday, they actually had an $8,000 pot, or $8,500, and people who won each got over $200.
What? So we watched that yesterday at the 6 p.m. game. It goes by. It's 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe 15, 20 minutes. It really is the equivalent of a half-hour game show that happens twice a day. But we're talking about 300,000 people, because you can see how many people are on the stream watching at once. That is the ratings equivalent of a significant TV show, cable TV show.
Pretty close, especially since they're probably young, too.
And they're actively engaged. They're participating. There's a flowing chat that's on the bottom. And of course, the number of participants drops, as fewer people are on the money pot.
They quit the app. Yeah.
So
the chat is useless.
Yeah.
It's scrolling like a crazy Twitch chat.
But I don't know of any other type of social app where they could get so many people on a regular basis.
Yeah.
It'll burn out, though, right?
Will it?
Well, like every other, there was
That's my
10,
question.
15 years ago, there used to be those game show phenomenons like let's make a deal or whatever.
I
Who
think-
wants to be a millionaire?
I think
All
this will
those
burn
things.
out like Bitcoin. I think we are.
Oh, God.
boy.
I think we are not only going to see this increase in popularity, but there's going to be copycats.
There's going to be copycats. I believe that. All right. I'll try it out, and then I'll lord over you when
wanna
I
hear-
win the pot.
What are people's stories? How are people participating in this? Are they doing it on their commute home? Like, is it 6 p.m. Pacific, commute home, have headphones on, you're on the bus and you're playing this game? Is that the new TV watching and shared social experience? Or are people actually getting together in their offices, in their homes, gathering around, each person with their phone, and then playing together to try to make that $5? Yesterday was 185 people got the last answer right.
And so you just watched? You didn't participate?
We streamed in too late, tuned in too late.
Yeah, but he knew the last question.
I got the answer to the last question.
Oh, all right.
It's interesting because the whole world has moved towards asynchronous. Like everyone's watching what they want to watch on their DVR or on YouTube
That's why
when
this
they
is
want to
novel.
watch it.
Yeah.
Right.
This is the opposite. This is everyone's
why
tuned
it's
in at 6
novel.
o'clock, and everyone's in it together in the moment. And I think that's what's kind of appealing.
Yeah.
Production value isn't bad either. I'll take one extra step. This is the beginning of The Running Man.
Is it somehow hosted by Chris Hardwick, as all things are?
Chris Hardwick imitator. It's a scripted comedian. And cost-wise, right? Yes, they had to pay the host. They got to pay the streaming fees. That stuff is, the overhead.
That's
but
chump change.
It's twice a
compared.
day. It's noon and 6. So it's $2,000 a day.
right. So for just some prize money, we're talking $2,000 a day, $8,000 on the weekends. So
What
what
do
is
you
that?
mean?
Do the
We could be
napkin,
playing soon.
napkin math. If we played it live.
We should play it
We
live.
can't play it live. The timing doesn't work out for a podcast recording. But maybe next week we'll play it. We'll schedule it so we can play it live, and you can see the phenomenon, and we get some real time reactions. I think it's interesting as an internet culture phenomenon.
How are they making money? Are there ads?
It's all underwritten by sponsors.
Yeah, it's a sponsor that they don't mention, which is the odd thing. On their website, they say who it is. But
Oh.
I don't know. But like Norm says, there's so much potential money being left on the table here. There's going to be copycats. This is going to expand, and there's going to be ads eventually.
And apparently it was created by one of the Vine co-founders.
Huh.
Variety did a story about it. It's been going on for half a month now. And they say...
Half a month.
I know, right? That's decades in internet time. And how are they planning on making money? This is crazy. Yeah, 15 minutes. People are glued to the screen. Crazy. I know, insane.
Kids these days.
Going back to some product and tech news. Again, Apple TVs, they finally fixed the HDR bug. They had a previous bug where all the content, whether it was formatted for HDR or not, was getting the HDR amplification and didn't look good. So now you have a setting for SDR content. So whatever the content was made for is how it will be
It's like an
displayed.
auto switch setting, yeah.
Yes.
Did you guys see the big article that came out a couple weeks ago about the AI generated content for kids on YouTube?
Yeah, it's kind of terrifying.
It was horrifying.
I
It's this
did not.
great Medium post that details the sort of dark web version of YouTube for kids. It's YouTube, but essentially algorithms will take what kids are interested in and generate videos of them. And it's nightmare fuel because it's
So
literally
animations.
like, these animations of like Spider-Man swinging in and it goes like sploosh and then like some other character like Batman walks by.
That's not the sound Spider-Man makes.
I know, it's like it's all like nonsensical and there's no plot and it's clearly run by an AI because it just doesn't make any sense. And
But
and
do kids actually like it?
there are millions upon millions upon millions, if not billions of views when you aggregate them all on these channels, and they're stupid.
Wait, these channels exist, and people are watching them.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
in droves, and it's not like a channel is doing this. There are all these generated channels.
What's wrong with people?
And so when you start to delve into them, and somebody wrote this Medium post, is like some of them are like have weird violent undertones or weird sexual undertones, and it just underlies a bigger problem in that YouTube has always tried and Facebook have always tried to solve this algorithmically, that they'll just sort of have some sort of system that'll find those things. Well, YouTube had a reversal of fortune. So maybe I could get a job at YouTube because they're hiring 10,000 humans
Wow.
to go through and screen content.
I don't anticipate these being awesome jobs.
No, actually, I think when Steve Lin was on the podcast a few months ago, he talked about how challenging these jobs were. I think he was at YouTube once, right?
He was at least at Google. I don't know.
Yeah, but he talked about how like people that had to screen for content, especially like violent content, and those jobs are really taxing emotionally. But they're basically, Susan Wojcicki wrote a blog post on YouTube saying like, we need humans to still do this at this point and help us get better at this. So they're going to be hiring 10. That number is enormous.
What is it?
10,000 people.
Yeah, that is. But they're working from home, I assume. And what do they pay?
Like the benefit link to the application was not part of the blog post. I would say, probably not well. Is this a reversal? Is what I have to say. Like much discussion lately about Facebook and,
it's not a reversal.
And ads
No.
and stuff. You don't see this as a reversal? I see this as a total reversal.
No, I think this is a stepping stone. I think that that these 10,000 people aren't just doing the job of filtering the videos. They are also concurrently training the AI.
Mm-hmm.
So they will be, they're just a part of the process towards complete AI domination. They are the tutors.
So does Facebook follow suit then?
Hopefully.
Because they have, that's the other place where video exists. I don't know. I think it's an interesting development.
Another place where video exists, Netflix, and they're also doing some experimentation in content. We talked about their Choose Your Own Adventure shows, which are live right now for kids, but they're also going to do it now for adults. For us? What?
Wait, what? Why weren't they for adults before?
Well, they were just kid stories, and so apparently they're going to be experimenting with interactive programs that are much more adult-oriented. That doesn't sound right. The phrasing. That was bad phrasing.
Mature content?
I guess. They haven't indicated. This is a TechCrunch story. They haven't indicated what the content is.
Yeah.
Just that an interactive thing is going to exist.
Do adults want that?
Well, wait a minute. Look,
okay.
They bought that comic earlier this year, Mark Miller's comic, right? Can you imagine like an interactive like comic story working on Netflix? That's
I don't know. That's tough to write.
That's not my problem. That's the writer's problem. But
Yeah.
Adults just want to Netflix and chill. It's the kids that want to interact.
I don't think that's what Netflix and chill means.
Anyway, there's some other hardware news. Microsoft and Qualcomm Qualcomm has a Snapdragon Summit that they do every year, apparently in Hawaii. They announced a new series of Windows PCs running ARM processors, Qualcomm ARM processors. The Asus NovaGo will be the first one to convert laptop, and then there's also the HP NVX2. But they are running ARM with x86 emulation, so it's still legacy app compatible.
What the hell, man? ARM can do x86 emulation?
In Windows 10.
That's crazy.
And they're saying that if you run native ARM apps, the assumption is the battery life will be, how many hours they say? 22 hours of active use.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, with 30 days of standby.
So was it me or did we, when we last talked about this, we thought Apple was going to lead the way. I was actually really surprised to see this note about Windows 10.
Well, this is what Will's bet's been for forever, that when Apple will
everything's
do
going to
ARM Mac desktop.
Yeah,
ARM Mac laptops first, and ARM, and there is an ARM chip in your MacBook, Jeremy. The Touch Bar has its own separate ARM chip at the top.
Okay,
but I don't think Apple is anywhere close to, at least not yet. It could be reached there eventually, but I don't think they're going to move away from x86 anytime soon.
I share Jeremy's comment. I didn't know they could do the x86 emulation on ARM. I think that's if that works well, like this is massive. Like
yeah.
I totally want to see how this Asus book does.
Intel's not very happy about it.
No shit.
Yeah, I don't know. Who's going to want to run Intel x86 apps if you get so much more efficiency off the ARM apps?
Well, no one's made ARM apps of that caliber yet.
Yeah.
I mean, Adobe has, let's say Lightroom, right? Adobe has Lightroom running on ARM, obviously, in iOS and Android, but their primary business is in the x86.
But no, so I'll run ARM apps in Windows? Is that the idea?
Yeah, because
Yes.
it'll be the Windows 10 Universal Apps.
Wow.
So what's going to be the tilting point for this? Tipping point for this? Like, is it like hardware devices like this that come out that is going to be some amazing piece of hardware that is
No.
going to be a must-have, or is it
It's developers.
developers?
It's
That's what I
100%
think too.
developers. Sorry, developers. Yeah, it's 100%. It's the big. It's not just Microsoft, but it's anyone who makes productivity apps, entertainment apps, web browsers, and make ARM optimized versions that run just as well and are feature complete. That will get users to switch. Not sure that's going to happen anytime soon, though. We're going to go through some of the rest of the tech bits relatively quickly. The Outline, which is a Josh Topolsky website, we had this extremely detailed expose on I would call it a scandal, and how some writers for big websites, including Fast Company, Mashable, and Forbes, and Huffington Post, have admitted to taking money from companies, advertising companies, marketing companies, brands, to include mentions of those brands and favorable mentions in their editorial, in their reporting. And it's deeply concerning. I'm not surprised it happens, and it is a problem on all sides.
I am surprised it happens because having been involved and employed by the media, both in magazines and here, that has never happened on any property I've ever been a part of.
Because back those properties when we used for actually paid their employees and their contributors to write that content, to produce that content, where increasingly these days, and the LA Weekly just had a round of layoffs and also a bunch of other
Mashable.
Yep. They look to a network of unpaid contributors or very lowly paid contributors, and
We
and
call
one-
that the HuffPo model.
one that de-incentivizes those contributors from holding any editorial integrity, and two, when you scale that large, they're also not empowering the editors who supervise those contributors any incentive to scrutinize that work as thoroughly.
So where does the money go? Does the money go directly to the freelancers?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Given how messed up the model for modern journalism is right now, this isn't surprising to me.
Yeah.
I guess.
I'm glad the story exists, and I hope that it gets around, and I hope there are more exposés about things like this happening. It's good reporting. Couple game announcements.
Mega Man 11.
Mega Man 11 for Nintendo Switch.
Yes. Well, I think for a few things.
Okay.
But I don't know. It seems like they've been bringing back all the classics. You got the Mario and you got the Zelda this year. Next year you get Mega Man 11. I think it's the first Mega Man in like 10 years.
So this
in
is
a long time.
Okay, this is a
More
next
than
gen
that.
game, right? This is like for PS4,
Yeah.
Xbox One, and PC.
Yeah. And it's it's just if you like the Mega Man, it's the same 2D scroller Metroidvania kind of style. And it looks like a 2D animation stuff. It's not pixel art, but it's good looking. And if you like that stuff, I never have played a Mega Man game.
You what?
I know.
How is
it's
that
just like
possible?
this weird hole in my gaming knowledge. So I got to get on that. I got to play the first 10.
You got to play. You got
Yeah.
a little bit.
Yeah.
There's a little more than that.
Run through the first gen.
Yeah.
But it looks good. People are excited.
Yeah. I don't know if I want another Mega Man game right now.
There's an order, right? You have to fight the bosses in a certain order.
You can.
You don't have to.
You don't have to.
Oh.
That's like the Monkey Island style of like thinking logically through the weaknesses.
Oh.
Like, oh, that boss is made of fire. Maybe I should beat the water boss first and use the water boss power
interesting.
on the fire.
So it's an easy route.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. You don't have to.
Okay.
Yes. On the Valve side, there is a new game coming out that will use the Portal license. It's not made by Valve, but it's called Bridge Constructor. It's an expansion to Bridge Constructor. It's a Portal-themed expansion to Bridge Constructor. Have you guys played Bridge Constructor?
No.
I've watched the videos.
Yeah, it's like a physics game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now you have you have Valve's minions.
Oh,
Yeah.
all right,
Why won't they just make a full game?
please.
Yes. And then a new Raspberry Pi kit coming out.
What?
Yes.
I didn't think about this.
Who linked about this?
You did.
I did no such
not
thing.
you.
This is a very Jeremy thing.
Google is. I totally didn't do this. Google is reading the Verge headline. Google is making a computer vision kit for Raspberry Pi. That's cool. Let me read it real quick.
We'll just read it loud.
$50 kit, and it will recognize faces.
Yeah, I think it's from their
Oh, it uses the TensorFlow. Machine.
yeah, and it's they have an AI.
So it's cloud based.
Yes,
Okay.
they have an AI vision group that has been trying to do DIY computer vision for a while. They made their own hardware kit, but I think this is wonderful that they're partnering with Raspberry Pi hardware to do this, and it's cheap.
Yeah, $45. And then one final news story.
Hit me.
Non-news. Elon Musk trying to make some news, saying that for his spaceship to Mars, his Falcon Heavy rocket, he wants to launch. He wants to send.
And so we enter Elon's shower.
He wants to send. Oh God, it's cold in here. He wants to send a Tesla Roadster to the surface of Mars.
This is the worst idea.
It's not a real story.
It's
No,
not.
so
No.
he
Oh, good.
So he claimed it was a joke, and then the next day in email said it's not a joke, and SpaceX confirmed that is the plan. It's got to be a joke.
It's a
like,
bad idea.
like
What
I
a
love,
waste of a payload.
I love Elon and his how he brings energy and enthusiasm to this. But this is ridiculous. No, this is super ridiculous.
All right,
It's just taking a steaming dump on the actual science work.
Hey, Jeremy, we saw our first Model 3 in the wild
Well, you did. I've seen Model 3 before.
yesterday.
Yeah, it was great.
I saw my first Model 3. It's the gray one. It looked good.
We gotta go on a ride.
It
We're
looked good.
going to.
The review is it looked good.
Well,
somebody give
it
us
didn't
a
go very
ride.
fast, and I couldn't tell if it was driving autonomously, but it did look good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Before we move on to our next segment, I want to thank the other sponsor of this week's podcast, and that is Casper Mattresses. Casper is a sleep brand that continues to revolutionize its line of products to create an exceptionally comfortable sleep experience one night at a time. With 3 mattress models, they have the original Casper, the Wave, and the Essential. Casper mattresses are perfectly designed to soothe and cradle your natural geometry. Not to mention, the breathable design helps you sleep cool and regulates your body temperature throughout the night. And even though it's delivered right to your door in a small, how do they do that, size box with the free shipping, or they have free shippings and returns just in Canada. And the best part is that you can be sure your purchase with Casper is safe with 100 nights risk-free sleep-on trial. And after all, you spend about a third of your life sleeping, so you should sleep comfortably. So start sleeping ahead of the curve with Casper. Get $50 toward any mattress purchase by visiting casper.com/test, T-E-S-T, and using the offer code TEST at checkout. Again, that's casper.com/test with the offer code TEST again. And you get $50 off your mattress purchase. Terms and conditions apply.
Now it's time for a moment of science. Sunday night. It's not just football night in America. This past Sunday night was the Oscars of Science, the horribly named Oscars of Science. It's called the Breakthrough Prize, and they have an annual celebration. This is a tech VC kind of entrepreneur funded prize for scientists, where each scientist wins $3 million for a massive discovery. So this is founded by Yuri Milner, and all of like the heavyweights of tech, especially in the Bay Area, are involved, like Sergey Brin and Zuckerberg and whatnot. And they have a few divisions: one in physics, one in life sciences, one in mathematics, and they have a series of awards, and they try to bring Hollywood stars together for an Oscar-style ceremony, and it's just as awkward as any other ceremony is. They have it down at NASA Ames inside Hangar 1, which is the old, housing for a shuttle. And it's beautiful. So let's get to the big news of the night. First and foremost, Kerry Washington retweeted something I said after the ceremony, which is like the biggest news of all from the ceremony, right? Kerry Washington actually shouted out the March for Science, and I tweeted at her, and she retweeted me. That was huge. Our own Simone Yetch was on the red carpet with Diana Cowan, physics girl, interviewing scientists, and I basically had a heart attack as she interviewed some of my heroes on the red carpet. It was amazing, and Simone did a wonderful job talking to luminaries in science and in education too. I think she had a great conversation with Sal Khan there from Khan Academy there. Just a quick highlight of some of the awards. The WMAP team, this is a probe that was sent out into space that ran from 2001 to 2009 that mapped the early universe, essentially mapping like sort of the cosmic background radiation of the universe to understand what happened right after the Big Bang, just like milliseconds after the Big Bang. And that probe led to some pretty amazing discoveries, like a precise age of the universe. It also, discoveries from that led to our understanding of how much dark energy was out there, quote unquote, by being able to understand how much light was emitted and helping calculate the mass of the universe. It also validated some of the work that showed that the universe is accelerating away from its center and that it's constantly growing. Those are some of the most fundamental discoveries in physics over the last 20 years. And that team won it's the Wilkinson probe, and the lead scientist Wilkinson passed away a few years ago, but the whole team got up there and got to talk about it. It's an amazing thing that we sent a probe to space and did this. The Joanne Chori won for her work understanding how plants first react to light and understanding the mechanism of it. Because when plants are born, they're essentially in the dark. How do they start responding to light and create that first mechanism? And so she found the hormonal pathway that initiates for plants to first process light as the first cells are born. So she really gave rise to this fundamental understanding of what happens in plant cells, and this hormone signaling is across so many different species, not just of plants, but it has applications in mammals as well. But it's been a potential boon for agriculture, like how we can potentially augment that pathway and have plants grow much more rapidly. And then lastly, Peter Walter, who is a friend of mine from UCSF, he lives down the street from me, won for his work on the unfolded protein response. And unfolded protein response is this idea like, DNA is the code of the cell, but proteins are essentially the workhorses. The DNA, encodes proteins and they go out and do the work. Well, proteins aren't just like the chemical constituents. It has a shape, and that shape is sort of critical for unlocking sort of keys to get that work done.
For a while back, I could use my graphics card as a public service to help unfold proteins or fold proteins.
No, you were doing computer analysis for the Stanford protein folding project, Fold at Home. Yeah, where they would just basically do calculations using your leftover computer power to understand how folding patterns were working.
Right.
And this is the reason why. Why folding is so important is that shape matters. And in order for those proteins to garner the shape, they go through this part of the cell called the endoplasmic reticulum. It's almost like this maze. And if you imagine as they enter the endoplasmic reticulum, imagine them like the TSA people as you're going through security. They sort of are like a gatekeeper and kind of guide proteins through the right areas so they come out the right shape at the other end. But if there's too much stuff in line, things start to break down. Those proteins get unhappy. They start acting funny. They have to open up new lines. And sometimes proteins get misfolded. And so the response is to to open up more lines, make more endoplasmic reticulums. But if that goes awry, what the cell does is it just self-destructs. And that self-destruction is actually a key part of how diabetes develops in adults.
Oh,
so when insulin when there's too much insulin in it and the cells can't process it, what is happening, the cell death keeps getting triggered and triggered and triggered in these cells, which exacerbates the problem.
Is the cell death there as a protective measure?
Exactly.
To keep
because we can't have these misfolded proteins accumulate because it causes massive problems.
Yeah.
To you. And one of those massive problems when misfolded proteins accumulates is called Parkinson's disease. So if this happens inside your brain. And so Peter Walter discovered IRE, which is one of the pathways that cells use to enact that self-destruct sequence. And if we can stop IRE in the brain, like where Parkinson's is happening, we can potentially control that. We can control diabetes. This is a fundamental finding of how cells deal with stress on their system. And it's one of the most important biological discoveries. I will say Peter is one of the best people I've ever met in all of science. He's a good person. And a hearty congratulations to him. This prize is a little ridiculous. Like, one just quick criticism is, as somebody put it, this is giving $3 million to the scientists that probably need the $3 million the least, because these are all super accomplished, like, leaders of their field because they have made massive discoveries. But I don't think that's the point of this award. I think the point of this award is to marry that sort of Hollywood treatment to these scientists who have made massive discoveries. So shout out to the whole team, like Corey Bargman and the whole scientific advisory team that puts this prize together every year, because I don't think there's any downside, really. And I want to see more Simone on red carpets. That was awesome.
Live streamed. I'm still stuck on endoplasmic reticulum.
Why? Because it's a funny word.
It's a great phrase.
Oh, it is fantastic. I think there should be a band named the endoplasmic reticulum.
Yeah. Get on it, people.
I'm sure it exists.
You mentioned Voyager last week, but it's in the news again.
Let's talk about our friend V'ger. V'ger is
You did.
Almost 15 billion miles away from Earth right now.
The furthest thing we've sent.
Absolutely. Outside of like those earliest transmissions, I think it's the first thing it's the first physical thing that we've sent.
What year did it launch?
I don't know, 70 something, I want to say. Is that right? I'm going to get pilloried for this, but it's been a few years. Hasn't it been 40 years since the golden record was created? What was the anniversary this year?
I don't know exactly what the...
Anyways, the numbers are important.
77. September 5, 1977.
Very good.
So the Voyager, we still are in communication with it, but it has these thrusters on it that essentially keep the antenna pointed back to Earth as it moves farther and farther away. Well, those thrusters, after 40 years, have failed. Thanks, NASA. And they have a backup system that hasn't been turned on for 37 years. So they turned on that system.
It's cold in space.
It is, baby, it's cold outside. Yes, it is very cold in space. And what I think is remarkable is that when you turn on something that is 15 billion miles away, it takes a little while to figure out if it actually turned on.
Right.
And in this case, how long was it?
15 hours each way?
15 hours.
Each way.
Yes.
Like for the signal, for the ignition.
They had to wait 19 hours and 35 minutes to get that signal to see if they even turned on.
That's insane.
So think about that the next time you're doing some electronics programming, that if you have to wait 19 hours to get a response back from
we talked about this with Mars, with the lander, how there was that 9 minutes, or was that what it was?
Yeah, we did that during a live show with Babak Ferdowsi.
It's the same concept, but this is a gigantic distance.
No subspace channels.
How amazing is this, though, that we're communicating with something that's 15 billion miles away?
It's incredible.
And Voyager 2 is not that far behind. It's like 11 billion miles away.
I would love to. I mean, I'm sure most people don't care, but I would like to know what that protocol is. Like, how are we? Is it Morse code? I mean, this is 1977. This is like, what are we using? What's the bit rate? What does that signal look like?
Oh, I don't know. I mean,
it's not encrypted, right? I mean, it's just like, it's just out there.
I would love that if somebody tried to hack Voyager.
I mean, yeah, why can't anybody send a message to Voyager?
I don't know what the code is. It must be some custom thing.
Yeah.
All All right, I'll look that up. I'll report back next week.
All right.
That's it.
The VR Minute. Virtual reality this week.
All right, there's one big thing to talk about in VR this week. Oculus has released, as of yesterday, a beta for Rift Core 2.0, their user interface. This is their equivalent to Steam Home in Steam VR, but it's the way you interact with the library and the content, and basically what happens when you put on the headset before you launch any games.
Now, this is opt-in, so if you're a Rift owner and you put on your headset and you don't see it, that's because you haven't opted in. You
That's
have to go into your Windows app, and then you go into General or Settings and find the beta opt-in switch and switch it over, reboot.
We got to use a little bit of it yesterday, and we'll have more discussion about it on this episode of this week's episode of Projections. But the coolest thing may not just be the home portion where you get to walk around your own space, teleport around your own space, and set up your own den with a library of 100 objects or so. But you have a new overlay. Persistent overlay
Dash.
that they call Dash that works in other games. So previously, when you were in a game and you press the Oculus button, you would go to that white area and see a hovering menu in front of you. That kind of took you out of the game a little bit. And in Steam, the equivalent of that is you get to Steam Home. The world fades in the background. The game fades a little bit. May still continue playing, but you get the Steam menu. This is not like that at all, because this is a dashboard menu system that pops up and is in the game with you.
You likened it to an augmented reality in virtual reality.
Yeah.
Which I think is a good one.
Yeah.
Was it distracting? Dash?
It's not. It's like a more the thing that's most persistent is this belt. It's like a menu. I could think of it as a taskbar.
And
your start menu.
You want it there. You pulled it up, and
right.
then
You press the button.
Oh, it doesn't. It's like not a notification that'll just.
No. You press the menu button and it pops up. And then from there you can pull up your library, your friends list, your notifications, your settings, and more importantly, your computer desktop and the monitors that you have plugged into your computer.
Yeah, so
your virtual desktop.
If you have one or two monitors, they are there, and you can click them, and then you see them. You can obviously resize them. But the cool part is that you can then grab a monitor, a panel, and yank it out and paste it persistently into your VR space.
Yeah,
that's cool.
And that's no longer a monitor. That's that app or whatever it's
a mirrored version of that window.
And now you can, but now your monitor's independent again.
Yes.
You can do whatever you want with your monitor, close your monitor, but you create as many of these panels as you want. So it's expanding essentially the number of monitors you have on your computer in VR. And then you can have these up there in the app. So if you have like a Netflix streaming inside Elite Dangerous or a webcam stream or what have you, it's all sort of embedded.
So a few questions. Like I've always found like the resolution when you're inside of Oculus is one of the limiting parts. Did you find that a limiting factor here when you're adding windows to the experience?
I think that's going to be the limiting factor in productivity. You know, they talked about how some of their engineers have Visual Studio open in VR. I think that's still, I don't think you're going to find too many engineers that prefer that. And we're going to find more and more as we can do more in VR that the resolution really is a limiting factor.
And I'm just really curious about performance then too, because this is incredibly intensive. So we're beyond the min spec now.
The min spec has raised a little bit.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. If you want this feature enabled, and you need Windows 10 because it needs those underlying features as well to do your virtual desktoping, and that's something to be tested. You're going to be running not only versions of Spotify, but also web browsers and all the taxing limitations of your Chrome tabs. So if you're going to be video streaming, and which is now a real possibility, you're in Elite Dangerous, and you could have a Chrome window pinned on your spaceship window that's playing Netflix or a live stream from YouTube TV. You know, you're running all these things, but you could technically still be doing those things even if those things weren't in VR. Like when you put on the VR headset, whether it's Steam VR or Oculus, your desktop still exists. You're running OBS for your screen capture. Your web browser is still there. All that's changed now is that info is now being projected into your virtual space.
PC gaming, man.
I know.
VR has re-infantized it. We're now at the beginning, and we're now going to have to expand our RAM and look forward to new video cards all over again.
So that's out for beta right now, and they said they'll be doing iterative updates throughout. There are a lot of features they want to put in, a lot of features I think that they still could put in, and we'll have more discussion about that and an interview with their team in this week's episode of Projections. A couple more things.
Do you have a PSVR? Are you BSVR curious? Well, you can now get one for free for 14 days. And if you like it, you have to pay for it. But if you don't like it, you can send it back. And then, of course, you have to be a PlayStation Plus subscriber, and you have to have gotten the email. But it's an interesting little pitch on Sony's part to get their PSVR in more hands. They'll send you the PSVR plus Skyrim, and you try it out for 2 weeks. I think it's a great idea.
They take a deposit from you and then charge you
I
full
don't even
amount?
think there's a deposit.
Whoa.
I think, they've got your number because you're a Plus subscriber.
Yeah. They have your credit card info.
Yeah, exactly.
There are a lot of VR Kickstarters. One of them is called Zephyr that we talked about. It's a system that for your Vive where you can put in some fans and it'll blow in your face. Use a USB port.
I was hopeful about this.
Yeah, it is. It's being canceled, unfortunately. So they're not going to be making their attachment, but they're going to be releasing a guide if you want to make your own. So with the bill of materials and schematics.
Bits to atoms.
So that's still be put out there. I think it was a novel idea.
I just didn't know. I mean, Birdly, I think, didn't that kind of do the same thing?
Yeah.
I think
was a real fan. This one is more face attached.
I think a fan is like a fine idea. Put a fan on your desk and hook it up. That's a great idea. I was always curious, how do you sync it up to the game, though?
Developers.
Yeah.
And then finally, Doom VFR is out, and we've been playing it. We were reviewing it next week because it's quite an extensive game. But one of the things we discovered, and it was quite a big deal, just as you had learned when you were chatting with Bethesda, they blocked Oculus Rift access to the game in Steam VR.
Yeah. Well, so at launch, it didn't work on the Rift. It does now. But interestingly, not due to a Bethesda patch or even an Oculus patch. It is due to a Steam VR update. So one of the devs at Steam, they saw what it was looking for, what Doom was looking for, and they simply added a fake one for the Rift that exists, in whatever the SDK is, and now it boots up. And the problem is that still you have the problem of the controls aren't made for Rift.
Right.
So a lot of people who are playing on Rift aren't terribly nuts about the game.
Wait, why?
Why what?
Why did this all happen? Why was it blocked to begin with?
Well, they had this. The thinking is, like, obviously no one has said, but the thinking is there was this lawsuit between ZeniMax and Facebook.
Oh, you think it's related back to that lawsuit?
Well, they had, I mean, Bethesda has said that their PC games are for Vive, and they won't even say if they'll work on the Rift. They're very Vive-centric.
I didn't realize it was that intense.
Yeah, well,
it is.
It is what it is. In any case, it launched and didn't work on the Rift, despite the fact that people on Steam who own the Rift expect Vive games to work on the Rift. So it works now. The problem is that if you read our Oculus forum, people aren't nuts about it because the controls are kind of whack on Rift.
Yeah. And that does it for this week. I think we're just about out of time, actually. So
I have a couple shout-outs real quick. Anyone in San Francisco, next Wednesday, December 13th, I'm launching my new series called Science versus Cinema at the Alamo Draft House, which is a monthly screening of a film, and then we talk about the science in it. We're starting with a small Christmas movie called Home Alone, and I'm showing why Kevin McAllister is a dirty psychopath, and he just murdered those guys constantly. And then we go to a small movie called Galaxy Quest the following month. And then hopefully February is going to be Alien, which I'm real excited about, talking about parasites.
That's good.
Which I'm pretty excited about. Net neutrality protests are still happening. Battleforthenet.com. Adam is going to one in Louisville tomorrow or today, I think, as when you're listening to this. Shout out to that. And shout out to my son. It's his birthday today.
Oh, happy birthday, Kishor's kid. Do we have an outro this week?
Are we already there?
We are already there.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. There's if you're in the Bay Area, there's also the Dickens Fair.
Oh my
happening.
God! Wait a minute.
If you come on Sunday, you might meet some of your favorite tested personalities. If your favorite tested personalities are me and Norm.
Yeah. Sunday.
This is weird.
Dickens Fair. This outro is made by.
Well, the problem is, apparently Flash is now disabled in Chrome, And
Yeah,
so,
you have to control-click to enable it.
Yeah, that's news to me. So here we go from Bruno Thammers. More Thammers.
You know what else I do when I'm laying in bed? Every 30 days.
That felt pretty old.
2 years old. Yeah,
And
yeah.
we
2
also
years old.
we also used that like last week or
What do you-
2 weeks
I'll
ago.
give you a new one
What?
if you want.
I know.
Are we getting a new outro guy?
Outro guy. Yeah,
We need
please.
a new outro
I
guy.
nominate you, Kishore, to be the new outro guy.
Why don't we bring in a fourth just to work on
Wars
outros?
on Christmas. See you guys next week. Bye.